In this video, I want to answer a simple question for you. Is your lawn ready for winter? What does that even mean? Can you get it ready? Is it too late? Let's talk about it right now. Today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. You can see on my truck behind me, I've got a 400-gallon split Graham spray tank that I use for my weed control and fertilization business. If you need a rig for your business, go to grahamse.com or give those guys a call. I'm out here in the morning. I can see my breath today. It's a little cooler. You can see my Bermuda grass yard here still looking pretty green, but we're moving into some cooler temperatures. Hadn't got below freezing just yet, I don't think, but I think it's coming soon. So is my yard ready or is it not ready? And I want to talk to you about the experience I've had with my own yard, but also I take care of hundreds of yards and tell you some of the things I've been seeing. What do we need to know as we approach winter? I live in Alabama. I deal mostly with warm season grasses. You're talking about bermuda, zoysia, centipede, St. Augustine, but maybe we can talk a little bit about cool season lawns as well. But I would yield to others in the comments who may have more experience with that. The one thing you may hear when you hear advertised on TV, or you may see it in the big box store, and they talk about putting a winterizer out on your yard. And that was something I always was trying to figure out. Not always, but I was just like, what's a winterizer? I don't know what that is, you know. And as you look into it, it does seem to me to be just a created term for marketing purposes. So some type of lawn food to get your yard ready for winter. So winterizer is kind of like fertilizer for the winter, I think is the way they invented the word. Nothing wrong with that, but I think you got to understand, does that make sense or not? Well, the illustration that I think makes sense and maybe can help clarify, let's just say, as at the time of this video, we're approaching Thanksgiving in the United States, and let's just say I was going to enter one of those turkey trot runs, you know, a 5K or 10K Thanksgiving Day race. Well, if I decide about 3 days before that I need to start training, and I'm gonna go out there and run and try to get ready for it, it might be too late. And I think there's a lot of sense that with your yard. If your yard is in bad shape and you're almost time for winter, it may be a little bit too late to take action. I'm speaking, I guess, more so for these Bermuda grass lawns, these other warm season grass types. So let me give you an example. I saw a yard this week that had a lot of damage from grubs. And my understanding is the grubs, they start out small and they start eating your roots in the summertime and as you get into the fall. And what can happen is you approach winter, you got a very weak root system because of the grub damage. If you go into winter with that weak root system, you know, a strong, healthy lawn is going to be able to handle a harsh winter better than a weak, pathetic lawn with a weak root system. Can I fix that, you know, a week before it freezes? Well, probably not. You know, it's almost too late. You had to deal with that back in the summer. Same thing when it comes to like fertilizing this yard. You know, I was to fertilize this yard right now, I don't know how much benefit it's going to get. You know, being able to fertilize it during the summer when it's actively growing and taking in that nutrients can make it strong and healthy and mowing it proper. And now we're ready to face a harsh winter. And I see that as whether it's a harsh drought in the fall or a harsh winter. In the last 2 winters, I'm in Alabama, it doesn't get that cold, but we've got down to single digits and we've seen some damage. We've also had some pretty bad droughts in the fall when it's still hot. And the yards that are healthier and have been mowed and been maintained, and of course water does help as well, especially during the drought, but those are the ones that typically respond the best. And if it's a weak, struggling yard, then those are the ones going to be most susceptible. You think about the nature documentaries, which gazelle gets eaten by the lion. It's the weak, pathetic one that's lagging behind, and I think there's some truth to that in lawn care. I was talking to somebody the other day about cool season lawns, you know, and what's the difference there? Well, a lot of times people will oversee those in the fall, and then that grass is actively growing in the fall and can more benefit from the fertilizer. So a lot of times these cool season programs, again, I don't deal with cool season grasses, but they'll fertilize them, and that does have more of an effect of preparing that lawn for winter than our warm season grasses, which are kind of shutting down and going into dormancy. As we approach winter, and right now again in November when I'm filming this video, one of the things I want to know is, did I put down a fall pre-emergent? And if I had done that, is it too late to do that? Well, let me share another example. I had a customer recently that lost their job and canceled temporarily, and then called me back and said, hey, I got a new job, will you put me back on the schedule? So what I did, I'd skip their fall pre-emergent. You know, they canceled. I didn't know if sometimes they never come back in those situations, but this particular customer did. So yesterday I'm out there and it's November. It's kind of late for the pre-emergent. I've been seeing Poa annua. I've been seeing henbit that's blooming. I mean, all these cool season weeds are here. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. I had some Spectacle Flow in the tank, which is a pre-emergent I typically use in the fall. And it's kind of like better late than never. Maybe there's some Poa that hadn't germinated yet it can help with. Maybe there's some tiny Poa in there that it can knock out. And you know, they say a lot of Poa might germinate next year in February or so as the temperatures start to warm up again. I'm using Alabama temperatures. It may be different if you live in Minnesota. But being able to put that out may help get ahead of some future weeds. Plus I had some post-emergent mixed in there as well that could knock out some of those existing broadleaf weeds. Hopefully, because I've been taking care of this yard for several years, there's not going to be some big outbreak of Poa annua because I had the population under control in the past. So when I'm thinking about getting my yard ready for winter, that's the kind of things I'm thinking about. Have I got my fall pre-emergent out? I know that's kind of a fall thing, but I'm getting ready for winter. And on my Bermuda yard, like, I'm not gonna go dump a bunch of fertilizer on this yard. I'm trusting that I've already done enough throughout the summer to get it ready for the winter, and I feel confident going into this winter. Let me show you some of the weeds you might be seeing as you approach winter. And one of the things I like to do as we get into the winter is going after those tough grassy weeds. So you got a situation like this, you got a big old clump of Dallas grass. What I do, I'll spray this with Tribute Total. Now this is on a Bermuda or zoysia, on Tribute Total and Dismiss at the high rate. And I will spray this, you know, sometimes multiple times with the Tribute Total. I may have to do it in September, October, and then come back again in November. And usually 2 applications will really do a number on it. It may not kill it, but it sometimes it does, and sometimes it gets very close. Now as this grass goes totally dormant, I can use Tribute Total. Is one thing I could use, but as it goes dormant, I could just use glyphosate on the Dallas grass on a warm day when the Dallas grass has some green in it, but the rest of the grass has already turned dormant. And again, only on Bermuda grass. But that's one thing I like to do in the winter, especially if I know I got a yard that's got a problem with Dallas grass or other tough grassy weeds. Then I want to try to knock those out. Again, as you get into look over here on this bank, and you got things like dandelions and different, you know, geraniums and cool season weeds that are popping up. You get the wild onions. You can go after those with metsulfuron, which is a product called Manor, or if you just got a few, you can even hand pull them after it rains, or use a product like Blindside. A lot of cool season weeds that are already here. You know, it's not like they just all show up in the spring. They start growing now, and depending on the weather pattern, and sometimes you get other weeds like clover and dandelions. They've been maybe hanging around, but when the weather starts cooling off, they really start to show out. And the last thing I like to do in the wintertime, and it's just me, but I kind of enjoy taking a break. You know, it's not like I want to be out there mowing grass 52 weeks a year. Some people do. I'm not one of those that real mows my grass every day or every other day. So I kind of look forward to finishing mowing in October, maybe in November. I'm out here mulching up leaves and things of that nature, but taking a break is not a bad thing, even from the weed control side of things. Now for me and my business with warm season grasses, I put out lime in November, try to get done by Thanksgiving. Sometimes it could take a little bit longer, and then gonna be off until we start back spraying yards on January the 1st or January 2nd. Yeah, I might get out there on New Year's Day. I might go hit a couple commercial properties that morning, and time to get back and have a meal and watch football, whatever else we're gonna do. Hopefully this video clarified some things for you on what to do to get ready for the winter time. Again, I don't think you can go out there and run that 10K race on Thanksgiving when you just started 3 days before getting ready. So keep that in mind when you're preparing your lawn. I wanted to mention the 2025 Lawn Care Life Conference, or whatever year you're watching this. Maybe there'll be one that year, but definitely got one planned for 2025, February. And you want to go to lawncarelife.com. There's a link there that says conference. I actually redid my website recently, so you can go check that out, lawncarelife.com, and there's a link up at the top for conference. You want to check out our speakers, the rates. We got a VIP option, really excited about that. Also, there's information over there for the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. Plus, I'm hoping this year, very soon, to start like a group coaching thing for those that want to get into weed control and fertilization. We'll see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.